Hello, Sunshine.
How you feeling, guys? It's Mrs. Klein.
And Mrs. Wolbrin. Hello. Okay, in the last section, you read about the problems that the nation faced under the Articles of Confederation. In this section, you're going to learn how these problems led to the creation of the Constitution. Now, just to reiterate, we have a guiding question. The guiding question is, what compromises emerged from the Constitutional Convention?
All right, you guys pay attention here also with this area. We've got some other vocabulary that you need to make sure that you're familiar with. The terms are Constitutional Convention, James Madison, the Virginia Plan, the New Jersey Plan, the Great Compromise, and also the Three-Fifths Compromise.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to get started. We're going to start with a Constitutional Convention is called.
Yeah.
In September 1786, delegates from 5 states met in Annapolis, Maryland. They wanted to help promote trade among the states by creating national trade laws. But creating such changes would require amending the Articles of Confederation. Under the Articles, the national government had no power to regulate trade among the states.
Okay. All right. The Annapolis delegates called for the states to send representatives to Philadelphia the following May to discuss such changes. In the meantime, Shays' Rebellion broke out. Fearing the rebellion might spread, 12 states sent delegates to Philadelphia in 1787.
Mm-hmm. 55 delegates came to the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. They were an impressive group. About 3/4 had been representatives to the Continental Congress. Most of the nation's leaders were there, including George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and James Madison.
All right, but not every American leader was there. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams were not at the meeting because they were overseas. Patrick Henry refused to go because he opposed the convention. In addition, there were no women, blacks, or Native Americans invited to participate in the convention.
Yeah.
All right.
So the delegates assemble. The convention begins. At first, the delegates did not have a clear idea about what they wanted to do. Some thought they would amend the Articles. Others thought they would set up a whole new government. They all agreed that the plan should protect people's rights. They all believed that the government needed to be strong enough to protect people's rights, but it should not be too strong to be controlled by the people.
All right. The first order of business at the convention was to elect a president. Every single delegate voted for George Washington. No surprise there. Next, the delegates had to decide on the rules for the convention. The delegates decided that in order for everyone to speak freely and not be pressured by the politics of the time, the discussions would remain secret. And they went to great lengths to make sure that no word got leaked out to anybody. Yeah. And it was a hot summer in Philadelphia.
Yeah, they stayed locked in that room.
Locked in that room, hot, sweaty, humid, you name it.
And just keep in mind, they elected George Washington to be president of this Constitutional Convention, okay?
Yeah, not president of the United States. We haven't even gotten that far yet.
Right. All right, we're going to start with the Virginia Plan, the Great Compromise. The first speaker at the convention, Virginia's Edmund Randolph, proposed a whole new plan of government. The plan is known as the Virginia Plan. It called for 3 branches of government. The legislature would be made up of 2 houses, and representatives from each state would be based on the state's population.
Okay, so larger states supported that plan. Okay, smaller states opposed the plan because they believed that the larger states would have the most power. So more people live in your state, the more power you have, exactly. The more representatives you have in the government. So smaller states didn't like that.
Yeah. New Jersey delegate William Patterson represented a different plan. It was called the New Jersey Plan. This plan called for a one-house legislature in which each state would have 1 vote. After some debate, the Virginia Plan won. The Great Compromise solved the problem of representation in the legislature. According to the compromise, the House of Representatives would be based on state populations, but each state would have an equal number of votes in the Senate.
So it was kind of like a merge of both plans.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So instead of having 1 house, they have 2 houses, and instead of having representation based solely on population, 1 house would be based on population, and the other one would have equal representation.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Right on. All right. Now, there was a tricky situation regarding slavery in the Constitution. Next, the convention had to decide who would be counted in the population of each state. The southern states wanted slaves to be counted for representation, but not taxation. All right. The southern states, yes. All right, the northern states, who had fewer slaves than the southern states, wanted slaves to be counted for taxation, but not for representation. After some debate, the delegates reached the 3/5 compromise. It said that 3/5 of the slave population would be counted to determine representation in the legislature and also in taxation. The convention also agreed that Congress could not ban the slave trade until 1808.
South didn't want to lose
The South
that.
definitely did not want to lose their labor power for sure.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to talk about regulating trade. The delegates gave the national government the power to regulate trade. The national government could pass laws on how goods could be exported. On September 15, 1787, all but 3 of the delegates voted to support the Constitution in its final form. Washington sent it to the Confederation Congress, and Congress sent it to the states to be ratified.
All right, you guys, that comes to the end of this podcast. I'm logging off.
Later.